Okay, good morning. We are continuing with another day of Malicha. Okay, that would be done by now. So, today we're going to start with the heart, or continue with the heart, and B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to start or finish the liver. So, always learn with the heart. Shkoyach. So, on that note, there is a minhag not to eat hearts, brains, and liver. So it's brought down Shem the Arizal, the Ben Ish Chai brings it down, and it's to help you remember Rashi Tevos Melech, Moach, Lev, and Kaved, because they're metamtem the Lev. The Gemara in Harios only mentions the heart, that the Lev is Kasher l'shechecha. Certainly the Gemara is referring to an animal. Some say it's also an issue by chickens. Anyway, in Shut Yaskil Avdi, he points out, but the minhag is clearly to eat all of them. So there's no problem whatsoever with eating any one of them. As far as the minhag or halacha. The minhag, those who don't, it's al pi Kabbalah. And there's no minhag that it's aser. And it's 100% mutter lechatchila, according to halacha. But those who want to follow the Arizal, the Ben Ish Chai, would stay away. Okay, and most are not choshesh. So that's okay. Now, so let's continue. Now, basically, the order of the Shulchan Aruch is we're discussing malicha. Then he's going to go into some organs of malicha. We're going to bump into kaved. All of them are associated with tzli, roasting or grilling. And then we continue to Ayin Vav is going to be the main siman, and the next day or two will be the main siman of actually how to grill from beginning to end. Just we're going to dabble in it for these couple of simanim until we get there. Because there's two ways to kasher it, or we're going to see by the kaved, really only one. So let's start. Ayin bet, seif bet. Malcho v'lo. So we learned yesterday, we needed to, when you salt the heart you could salt, but you need to cut it open, slice it open when you salt, so that the salt goes inside and outside. But what happens if he didn't? He only salted it from the outside. And there's still blood inside the heart. You didn't open it up. So you salted it all around on all sides from the outside. V'lo karo, you didn't open it up. You already salted it. It's done. Kora'o achar melichato umater. So the halacha is, cut it open afterwards, and you're allowed to eat the heart. Afa pisha nimlach imadam shebetocho. Even though it was full of blood. We're talking about da mamish, the da nefesh. Even though it was inside, you just cut it open afterwards and remove that blood. But the meat itself, the heart itself, is 100% kosher. All right? It's for the Yevid, but it's 100 now. It already happened, so now it's 100% kosher. The kabolo kach poto, just like the heart, because we say any of the blood that was in the heart that may have been absorbed into the heart, the same way it goes in, it goes out, even with their salt. So it's not an issue. Now it's true, the Shach points out that we learn one of the reasons why you have to rinse off the blood before you do any salting is because of dam be'en. If you have actual blood on it, then it's a kind of a problem. The salt can put it back in. There's issues. So, but he writes over here, again, happens to be a machloket rishonim on that, right? There's like 6 reasons. But here he also points out the heart is shia, the Gemara calls it. It's very smooth. Just an important halacha regarding ceramics for hilchos tarovis, as far as mixtures going from one item to another. Any item that's really smooth, we say it's not bolea. So obviously it depends on the circumstances, how smooth and how much not bolea. But the point is, we say kabolo kachpoto, anything that would go into the heart comes out, and we're not worried about dam be'en b'diavad because of the heart is shia. You put it all together. So too, if you were to roast or grill the heart, remember, whenever we say, for the halachos of kashering meat, whenever we say the word roasting, it means it's not sitting in a pan, it's able to roast and drip down onto the fire, onto the floor, or if it's going to drip onto a pan, that pan becomes treif. But it's not sitting right? When you roast in your oven, often the meat is sitting on the pan. When we say roasting or grilling, it's not sitting in a pan, it's dripping off. A rotisserie, right? Exactly. Im salo v'lo karo. If you grilled it, or so I'll just try and use the word grilled, but that's the same thing. If you grill it v'lo karo, and that's how you kasher it, which we're going to get to more in Ayin Vav. But when you kasher it, but you don't cut it open, shekara o achar tzliato matur. The same thing, no problem. You just cut it open afterwards, and then remove it. I don't think so. It doesn't say that. No, you don't have to roast it again. They're not comparable. Mutter. Anything. No. When you roasted it on the grill, the full heart with the blood inside, any blood that's in the muscle comes out and leaves. And any muscle, any blood that's inside stays inside, and we don't say that it goes inside the muscle. So you don't have to re-roast it afterwards. Why do we need the reason of Kabbalah Kapolta? Why did you need to salt it again? You don't have to salt it again. You do. So let's discuss it afterwards. But you don't have to salt it again. You don't have to salt it or roast it. You just cut it open. Good. About im bishlo below kriya. Now what happens if you didn't cut it open? You salted it whole with the blood inside. Or you grilled it whole with the blood inside. And now you cook it. You put it in your soup, whatever it is, or your stew, and you left the blood inside. Now what happens? And you cook it all together with the blood inside. About im bishlo below kriya aser. So now, since you have inside the heart, you have dam mamish. This is dam hanefesh, right? 100% iser deraisa. Kares for the kazayas, except for the fact that it got cooked. Okay, we'll leave that aside. But you have to, it's aser. This pot that you just made is aser ad shishim keneked halev d'loyad inan kama nafik mine. And because we don't know how much blood is in the heart, so the halacha is you have to. The only way the soup, the whole pot's going to be mutter is if you have in the pot 60 times the volume of food keneged the heart, which is usually you're not going to have that much, at least especially by an animal heart. An animal heart. So then the whole thing becomes aser. Okay. Now, Shach points out, it's according to the Shulchan Aruch, if you do have shishim keneged the leiv, now even the leiv itself is mutter, because that the leiv, because it's mevatel the blood. Fine, batel b'shishim. Hagab, but the Rama argues. He says, "Filu v'deika shishim." Now, even though you do have shishim keneged alev, and the whole pot is mutter, there's one exception. Halev atzmo aser. But the Rama holds that the heart itself is still aser. Okay. And we don't say chanan. Again, the Shach discusses. We don't say. So I'll finish reading. So the Rama holds the leiv itself is aser. You have to throw away the whole heart. And we don't say the leiv itself is chanan, because it's, again, remember the heart has a din of shia. It's very smooth, so it doesn't have all the chumras that come along with it. It's not buleya so much. Okay, the Rama continues. Now, in your pot of soup or whatever it is, the heart is touching something, right? It's not, or unless it's floating. But if it's touching something, v'yiklof me'at saviv halev. Since the heart itself is aser, you have to remove anything that's sitting and touching the leiv and cooking together on the leiv. Where it's touching, you just have to remove kadei klipa. V'yesh machmirin bo afilo b'melicha. And some say, even if b'melicha you have to be machmer lesor sha'ar basar shanim lach imo, that even if you did melicha and then you cooked it, you still have to remove everything that's there. V'omrim delo amrinan kibolo kach palto, and we don't say that. Gabe dam halev hakanu shebetocho, we're extra strict with the dam hanefesh, but that's in the heart. The have dam mamish. Dam mamish means dam hanefesh. V'lon mikre dam pleta, or it's also dam be'ein. V'lo mikre dam pleta, and it's not called dam that just comes out of the meat, dam shapirish, dam ivarim shapirish, this is worse. However, v'aminag lahakel. So this whole v'yesh machmirin, the Ramah is just giving you extra information, but lahalacha, it's not so relevant unless you're looking for chumras. The minhag is 100% to be meko, like we already said before. V'chen yikar. The gamze mikri dam pleta, that it's also called dam pleta. What?
It's not called. I thought that was constantly.
Yeah, it is dam nefesh, but the point is, he's just saying it has the same din that v'shayach l'mimar be kibolo kach polta midei dehave adam shebechutin. I'm not exactly sure what he means. It's because it's cooked, or just it has the same din as it's just saying whatever was polate into the meat, whatever was bole is also polate, it comes out. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what he has in mind. Okay, v'yesh machmirin liklov ktsat b'makom shehaya halev davuk, and some are machmer to remove a little bit wherever the heart was attached to.
This is all where there's already shishim.
Yeah. If you have no shishim, there's nothing to talk about. Everybody agrees. Shulchan Aruch Ramah, the whole thing is aser. The only machloket is if there is shishim, can I get the heart? Do you keep the heart or not? So can you eat the heart or not? Right. And then if you can't, well, according to the Ramah, you can't eat the heart. So then you remove klipa also according.
The piece is touching the heart.
The heart itself you throw out. The piece that's touching the heart you remove kadei klipa. And wherever the heart's attached to, some say also that part you remove a little bit. It's attached to the lung. I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to. V'tov lachush l'divrehem, and one should be machmer like them. It's better. V'liklov ktsat seviv alev, and also to remove a little bit of the klipa that's next to the lave. He said that already. V'az hakol mutter. And then once you remove the klipa of the adjacent meat and the heart itself, everything is mutter. Yeah, everything else is mutter, of course. Ve'ein chiluk bein basar she'im alev o alev atzmo. Ve'ein, okay. I'm not sure exactly what he's adding. All right, yesh la'ayin. But even the Shach is trying to figure out exactly. But let's not get bogged down too much. Ve'ein chiluk bein basar. So there's no difference whether the meat is next to or attached to the heart or the heart itself. Really, there's no difference. According to the Shulchan Aruch, it's al mutter. According to the Ramah, the kedei klipa is al aser. Ve'ein chiluk bein im halev sagur or patuach lamala. Doesn't matter if the heart is open or closed above. Okay, v'nohagim lechatchila lachtoch orlas halev. Right, but yeah, when we said this whole halacha, it doesn't matter if the heart, what the position of the heart is, and if it's got cut open or not. It's the same halacha for once you cook it. V'nohagim lechatchila lachtoch orlas halev v'lachtoch kidin shebifnim ve'in ala chumra v'zihirut be'alma. And the Ramah quotes the minhag. He says it's just a chumrah. You don't have to, but it's what we do. It's what Rav Ben David did for us. Before you kasher the heart, you cut the end tip of it, a little piece of the heart, you throw that away, so that this way it reaches the inner chamber, so that it starts to open it up, and you also cut a little bit inside. So he just made several cuts through the heart in order so that you get through some of the veins that are there. You get through the chambers. Okay. All right. Let's go on to Gimel. Ein of shelo yehi bo shishim keneged libo u'mutar afilu hu davuk be'of. Okay. So now he just points out that anytime you cook an oaf, you're always going to have the volume of the meat of the chicken, at least with the skin, the whatever part you cook, not including the head and the feet. It'll always be shishim keneged, the heart of a chicken. And therefore, your food's gonna end up being mutter, even though it's attached, even if the heart is still attached to the chicken. Haga, v'kol of yesh bo shishim, afilu ein bo harosh v'haraglayim hatachtonim. Sorry, I just said that. So there's always going to be shishim. Kederach shenagil masir, because you always remove the head and the feet, and there's still always going to be shishim. So you never really have to worry about it, b'diavad at least. Kederach shenagil masir dahainu ad arkuva tachtona. Right, you remove just the feet. Ima of shalem hakol mutter. So, end of the day, anytime, even if you're going to salt the entire chicken together, and you leave the heart in there and you don't cut it open and you don't remove the blood and then you cook the whole chicken whole, b'diavad, it will be mutter.
Is it true for chick broth also?
I don't know. Ve'im ein, it says chicken, I don't know. About all birds and babies, chicks, I don't know. Ve'im ein shalim, but if it's not going to be whole, v'leiko bo shishim neged halev adavuk ba'of, and you're not going to end up with shishim keneged, so then, yesh omrim da chaticha nasas nevela uba'inan shishim bakdera neged kol ha'of. Since it's attached, some say the whole chicken becomes chanan, and the whole chicken is aser. And now you need shishim keneged the whole chicken in the pot, for the rest of the pot. V'chanohagim, v'afil ika shishim bakdera ha'of aser. So it says, l'chatchila we're machmer, so it says the minhag is to be machmer, and you need shishim of the kedera neged the entire oaf, in order for the rest of the soup to be mutter, which you're not going to generally have unless you have a huge pot that I haven't seen. And if it would be batel, still the whole chicken is chanan, right? And the chanan, the chicken itself, you have to take out. Hoyel ve'ein bo shishim keneged halev davuk bo, since you don't have shishim keneged the heart and it's all attached. V'im ein halev davuk ba'of mitztaref kol hakadera levatel halev v'shishim. But if the heart is loose, you cut a heart, you separate the heart from the chicken before you cook it in the soup. So then you can use the whole chicken with the whole soup connected the lave. That's what Bays, Sif Bays was. Okay.
It's talking about whether or not you cook the chicken with the heart before it fell into this pot. Whether it's cooked chicken with the heart or whether you're cooking it raw in the pot, as long as the heart is connected to it.
You're asking me again afterwards. Sorry, I'm not sure if I follow exactly. Va'ayen lekaman simon sadi bet midin chatichas nasas nevela, and look, we'll see in Sadi Bet more about the halacha of Chanan. Ve'ein lecha behema shehi shishim neged liba. But he points out that when it comes to an animal is never shishim keneged its heart. So the Shach points out because it could be shishim keneged the heart, but he's saying certainly the Ramah is talking about any part of the meat that you're going to cook, because parts of the animal gets removed. People cook a whole chicken. There's chaylev, there's gid, there's parts of the body you're not going to cook. No one puts a whole cow inside their soup. That won't fit. So lamaisa, the part of an animal that's edible, even in a huge pot, their hearts are pretty big. I don't know if you've ever seen a cow heart. I have. That's pretty big. So it's not going to be from what's left, from what you eat. It's not going to be lamaisa shishim. Lamaisa, I don't know how it's going to fit in your pot anyway. But let's do Dalid. Hareya ena. Yeah, and an of shalim is without the kishkas. It's whatever is edible, but it's a whole chicken that you buy in the store. But I guess with the lungs and the heart. Okay. Oh, okay. You're right. Back in the day was the kishkas. I take it back. Not sure.
You don't cook it with the kishkas because it's so in there.
I think the Ramah. Okay, I can't say for sure if it's with or without the kishkas.
They would cook it with.
Take it back.
No, they would cook it. They would get the chicken with alazachim.
No, I know, but he's talking about a full chicken that you would cook. Unclear.
But that's
Unclear.
If you find a liver that was inside a chicken, that means the person forgot, to take out the liver. Because in those days it was sold, you got everything. You got the
Right.
kishkas, you got it all. That's all.
Okay.
Clarifying. How
Right.
else are you going to find the liver in a chicken? You're not going to buy a chicken. You're going to find the liver.
Yesterday, it was wrapped in a piece of paper inside the
Right,
chicken.
but at the time of the Ramah,
Dalit.
you got the whole chicken.
Siv Dalit. Hareya eina tzricha chituch. Now the lungs you're allowed to eat, allowed to kosher as is. You don't have to cut anything because there are pipes in there. The pipes are just windpipes, but there are also some blood vessels, right? Because we need to get oxygen to the heart. Aval nagu lekora v'liftoach hakanuknos hagadolos shela uminhag yafehu. But there's a minhag to cut through the liver or the lungs. So that's what Rabban David did for us. He made numerous slices. Okay, let's just start a little bit about the liver, and then you'll tell me when we should stop. Okay. Okay. Right, so the liver, right, by the lungs we said, lechatchila, we cut it, that's the minhag, but if b'diavad, if it wasn't done, it was forgotten, certainly no problem. Siman ayin gimel. So let's start with roasting the liver. Aleph. Hakaved yeshbo riboy dam. So the halacha is the liver has a lot of blood in it, right? That's where it turns it over, it cleans it. So it's very bloody. Lefichach lechat, it's saturated with blood. Lefichach lechat ein lo takana levashla aydei melicha. There's nothing that can be done to cook it, to kasher it through melicha. So there's no way to, if you want to cook your liver, and you want to prepare it, you want to fry it, whatever you want to do with it, boil it, melicha is not going to work for you to remove the blood. Ela koro sheti ve'erev. You have to cut it with like a cross, a sign, and you make a nice big slit in two directions. Umaniach hitucho lamata, and then you hold it upside down so that when you're draining it, if it's solo, and you grill it, so you put it on the grill, and you let it so that the opening, the hole from the sheti ve'erev, the slits, it can drain down. Right? And then you can eat it. Once you grill it, then you can then cook it. You can you can cook it. You can fry it. You can do whatever you want once you kosher it through the grilling process. If you're going to stab it and make a bunch of holes with a knife that has the same din as sheti ve'erev, so that's lechatchila according to the Pri Chadash and Kaf HaChaim. The Shach over here says lechatchila though you should make slits. To make just just thin incisions is not ideal, but longer incisions that's what's necessary. You can also just make numerous slits through it. You can chop it up, right? Obviously, you don't want to chop it up too small, then it'll fall through your grill. V'chen, im natal misham hamara, v'chatichat basar min hakaved, it's also enough. The mara, the bladder, the gallbladder is the bile duct, it's attached, whatever it is. The mara is attached to the liver, and if it opens up, it'll make the liver taste very bad. So you don't want it there anyway. When you cut that away, cut away a chunk or a piece of a sliver of the liver, and then that'll open it up to the inside, and that also works as sheti ve'erev. Okay, and it gives it a place to drain out from. So that's also good enough. The efshar ladam lazuv misham. Lazov misham, because it allows it to drain out from there. But the evid, if you didn't do that, it's still okay. But just cut it and let any of the blood that's sitting there pooled in the veins, you clean that out afterwards. And then umavashla, then you're allowed to cook it. This is with an entire kaved. Once it's chopped up, obviously you don't have to make extra cuts. Now, once they finish the koshering process of the kaved, they should rinse it off. Number one, because according to the Ramah, he says you're supposed to put some salt on it, so the salt can absorb some blood, or just to remove any of the blood that's there. So after you make a kasher by grilling, you're supposed to rinse it off. Some soak it 3 times, but the minhag by many is just to rinse it off once. But the evet, it's mutter, without rinsing it. ובדיעבד מותר ינבש לה לבדו בקדרה ולא צלייה. And it's mutter, you know, stop or keep going? We'll stop? All right, we'll continue to tomorrow.